Talk to me. When did you first start working for Mr. Martinez?
Your Honor, I started working with him about 5 years ago at the startup of his company. I was one of the first employees that he hired on. And
what was your role there?
I was a sales associate.
Okay.
And we started off as a very small team, and we have expanded over the past 5 years into a bigger team now.
Okay. And you're not all that happy with the growth?
Not particularly, no.
Because it was much more comfy to work in a small environment where you were one of five and open access to the boss.
Well, yes, Your Honor, but I wouldn't just say comfy. I would say that my boss, his behavior was a lot more professional with us. We were able to communicate. And now if we have any problems in a workplace or if we have any problems in general, it takes 3 to 5 business days to even get a hold of him. And he has a new assistant, and he's hired certain people onto the company that have just made communication very difficult. And I feel like it's actually hurting the business in certain ways rather than helping the business in other ways.
I mean, when a business grows, in fairness, perhaps the boss isn't 100% available to everybody all the time for everything. You know, there's a gatekeeper eventually as businesses grow, right?
Yes.
But that's not always what you would want. Perhaps you want to work in a smaller environment. So tell me what happens on this particular day.
Yes. So the day of the party was the day that we had a large investment meeting. And I, unfortunately, have recently had to move further away. And on this particular day, I was driving and there was an unfortunate accident on the highway. All the lanes were shut down. I tried my best to call in to the office, let them know that there was a delay and that I was stuck in traffic. I couldn't get off, there was no exits for me to get off of. And unfortunately, that made it where I was late to the office that particular day. And
but that wasn't the first time you were late.
No, it was not.
No, in fact, you were on probation for being late, right?
Yes, ma'am.
All right,
yes.
Talk to me about that.
In the beginning of the company, because we were so tight-knit, a lot of us, if we were late, we would just call our boss, or when we show up, he would talk with us. And I feel like the company itself had a very laxed environment.
Right.
All the time, if I was late, I knew that I could call him and he would respond to me. And most of the time, he would understand why I was late, where I was coming from. And I believe.
Why are you late at all, I guess, is what I'm asking, because the rest of us have to show up on time. So I'm just kind of wondering why it's like you're annoyed at the culture changing, but the culture, because what? Because they're not tolerating lateness now? You got fired for being chronically late.
Yes.
And on this particular day, you were 2 hours late.
Yes, and I do acknowledge that the lateness was not okay. However, I guess I would have expected him to come to me like he had before.
But had they not already come to you and said, you're now on probation for being chronically late?
Yes, but not him specifically, HR.
Who came to you and did that?
I was speaking mostly with HR.
So HR told you you are on probation now.
Yes. And I mean,
that's pretty wicked. Like that's something that I would be paying attention to. You have no control over an accident on the highway, but then maybe you should be leaving 2 hours earlier just in case there are accidents on the highway, which is horrible.
And it is a new location. I wasn't used to driving that far. I will say now that I have a better judgment of how far this drive is, especially with traffic. Traffic.
Yeah, but you don't have to go anymore because you got fired. Tell me about getting fired.
Yes. So I arrived at the party.
The party?
Yes, we had a party.
Well, you arrived at work first.
I arrived at work, yes.
2 hours late, you missed the meeting.
Yes.
And then what happened? Did anybody say to you, hey, anything that day or no?
Not that day, no.
All right, but during the probationary period, had you been late during the probationary
period? Not during probation. It was at the very end. The day that I was late was the very last day of my probation.
Okay, and your probation was for how long?
Your Honor, it was for 3 months.
3 months. Okay, give me a second. I'll be with you in a moment. So for 3 months, and then it was the very last day was the day that you ended up late.
Yeah. What it feels like, because she's been with the company since the very start, she feels that she's above the rules. Maybe in the very beginning, there were very few employees and they were on a friendly basis with the owner of the company. And as the company grew, I believe in her head, she's still somewhere back 2 or 5 years back when she started, when the company was still small. But now it's a different game plan. Now they have more rules, they have HR in place that's policing the employees and making sure they are abiding by the rules. Also, since the company grew, now they have way less access to the owner of the company. And of course, he had to outsource most of his tasks to other people. And it is bad enough that she had to be put on probation for 3-month period, and she was late during the probation period. That's bad enough, but not only she was late for a very important meeting with a client. And she was not just late by 10, 5, 15 minutes. She was late by 2 hours. At this point, it feels like the owner had all the rights to fire her based on just the evidence that was presented to us. It's not that she was late once. She's been habitually late throughout all the years that she's been employed, and this was just the last straw. Let's go back.
Right, so you get there, and there is an atmosphere of joy because apparently they've landed the client.
Yes.
And there's a party.
Yes.
And in the party, there is the Wheel of Fortune, which I see in front, and there's prizes.
Yes.
Tell me about what happens at the party.
So I get to the party, and of course, everyone was enjoying food and drinks, and we were having a really good time. My other coworkers were spinning the wheel, and we were laughing, we were enjoying each other, and I spun the wheel. And of course, because we're all laughing and enjoying each other, and we're all on like a very high spirits, laughter, I spun the wheel again.
Wait, when you spun the wheel the first
Yes.
time, what did it say?
I got a $25 gift card.
Okay, and then did you get it on the spot?
No.
Okay, and did anybody else spin twice?
I'm not even sure. We were just kind of like all laughing with each other, so I wasn't really paying attention to if anyone else spun.
So you spun a second time?
Yes.
And the second time, what'd you win? The big prize?
Yes, I won
Yeah.
the tickets.
You won the
And
tickets.
I'm a very big theater nerd.
Okay, and why not spin a third time, and that way you can win 4 tickets?
I didn't even know if there was an option to spin more. I wasn't really
that's
told.
the issue here, isn't it? Mr. Martinez, can I ask you something? Was Ms. Walker a good employee during those 5 years?
Your Honor, I would say she was an average employee.
Really?
And she was one of our first employees when we started the company.
Okay.
It's really not about that, Your Honor. It's just the habitual lateness that we are questioning here.
Okay.
We're talking about, if I may show you the evidence, about 13 times she's been tardy.
Can I see your evidence?
Yes.
13 times she's been tardy, and how long? Since they
That
started
was just
keeping
in a couple
track?
of months.
Since they started keeping track?
Yes.
Which was what?
That was just for 2 months, Your Honor.
That was in January and February. Like you're on notice that this is a real problem, and
Yes.
then it happened again during the probationary period.
Yes, it did, and Your Honor, it was at the most critical part of the year where we were meeting with one of our top investors, and she was one of the main contact person, and she was supposed to be there. She was told.
This might have been a night you might have wanted to couch surf on someone else's couch to make sure you weren't late for that.
Right.
I will say, but the only reason why we even have this meeting is because of me and 4 other coworkers. that
You
have
missed the
started.
meeting.
I know.
Like, I understand, but, showing up is 90%. Like, you can't not show up for the meeting. You got to be there. And if it was one time, it'd be one thing, but it's not one time.
I don't know, maybe it's just me, but having missed a very important meeting for your company by 2 hours, not 2 minutes, 2 hours, I would feel so bad. I would make sure to make it right by the CEO of the company. I want to make sure before going to the party that we are, in fact, okay. And knowing that you've been on a probation, it's very legitimate thought to think that maybe you're in trouble. Maybe you're going to have some long-lasting consequences of you being late. However, none of this crossed her mind. She just decided to storm straight into the party and celebrate with everyone as if nothing happened. Am I right to point out that she was late for a very important meeting, but she was right on time for the party? Because of how long she's been with the company, I believe she felt she has more privileges when it comes to the company itself, the parties, what is allowed to her. Maybe that's the reason she never changed her behavior and was constantly late. And that's the reason she decided to spin the Wheel of Fortune twice. Not once like everybody else, but because she thought she was above the rules, she spun it twice. What did you guys think? Let's go back.
But in any event, let me ask you this. When did you decide you were going to fire her?
This happened right after the meeting.
Yeah.
So we had a brief.
But you didn't want to fire her in the middle of the day and then ruin the party,
No, Your Honor.
right?
Yes.
It was really about the party.
Yes.
All right, so now, who's in charge of the wheel spinning?
Okay, that would be the assistant of the HR head.
Okay.
Yes.
And were people supposed to spin more than once?
Everybody spun just once, Your Honor.
What were they supposed to do? Like, was
Just spin once.
Okay.
I mean, there's enough prizes for everybody, but you know, we got to give everybody a chance.
right? And
Right.
so she spun twice,
Yes, she did.
right?
And she won the first prize. That was fine.
Did you give her the first prize?
Yes, we did, Your Honor.
Okay, but
Yes.
you wouldn't give her the second one because
No. Well, first of all, because a lot of employees were complaining about it, and we just felt like we had to.
How many complaints did you get?
We got about four.
Yeah,
four
I saw that.
complaints in
They
the
were
email.
emailed complaints that
Right.
are documented where people said this isn't fair. Why did she spin twice? And I guess it's not the cozy environment that you started with.
No, Your Honor.
But really, why did you spin twice? That is kind of, what are you going to spin until you win?
No, Your
You know,
Honor.
I'm going to vote until my guy wins the election. I'm just going to keep voting over and over again.
The complaints that were coming in through email were some of our newer.
What difference does it make? Just because you're an original gangster doesn't mean you're the only gangster, okay? Just because you're one of the first ones there, it doesn't mean that they don't have a voice and that you get to spin twice, you
Yes,
see?
and,
you
if
did
I
get the
was-
first prize that you did win, the $25 gift card.
Correct.
Yes,
And if I was told at the party that I could only spin once, I would have only spun once.
Oh, if someone had just told me that armed robbery was against the law, I would not have held up the convenience store.
Not an excuse, Your
Come
Honor.
on, you know that. Look, Ms. Walker, as a company grows, you know, there may be more rules to follow because it's more unwieldy for him as the owner. And you don't get to waltz in when you want, as though you did, just because you were one of the first people hired. Having said that, that truly has nothing to do. Maybe it does. Maybe that's why people complained. But maybe it doesn't. But it doesn't matter. The point of the story is, one, how many spins is a person allowed to get? And two, did you have more than what everybody else was able to get? And in fact, you did by your own admission because everybody was laughing, so you did it another time. But you can't possibly think that each time you do it, you're going to win whatever it lands on, because each one of those are prizes. And everybody gets one spin. The rules apply to you too. The tardiness rules apply to you. And the spinning rules apply to you. So in this case, I am ruling in favor of the defendant.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Why do you think that you're above the rules? Just because you've been with the company from the very start, you're not the CEO. You're not the founder of the company. You're just an employee. And according to the CEO, not a very good one either. He actually said average. And just my perspective, if you're known to be habitually late, if you've been in trouble already and you were put on probation by HR for being late, now you have this important meeting the next morning, wouldn't you want to be there extra early to make sure that everything goes smoothly? I understand accidents do happen, and we all been in a situation when we are being late or things just don't go the way they should and there is no exit that you can exit the highway immediately. I still believe there are ways, and 2-hour delay, I don't believe there's an excuse for that, to be honest. Now we have all the apps that show traffic in real time and actually tell you how long it's going to take you to get from A to B. And if the traffic conditions are changing, they also change in real time and you can adjust accordingly. They also give you alternative routes to get to where you need to go. So there's literally zero excuse for her being 2 hours late. And I believe the judgment was fair. She should have spun only once. And I believe that's exactly what she should have gotten, is the first winning, whatever it was, the gift card. And the second one, she had no right to do. What did you guys think about this case? Do you agree with the judgment, or do you think she should have gotten the tickets as well? Please put it in the comments below, and thank you for watching.